Bugatti builds fewer than 100 cars a year. Every single one costs more than most people earn in a lifetime. So when a young mechanic in a UK shed bought a written-off Chiron for parts and rebuilt it from scratch, the company didn't just notice, they responded. Hard. What started as a passion project turned into a legal, ethical, and mechanical battleground. But the full story is far darker than either side wants you to know. In late 2022, a flood-damaged Bugatti Chiron appeared on the UK salvage market. It had been written off by insurers after catastrophic water ingestion destroyed its W16 engine and fried its electrical systems from the inside out. Water and a Bugatti's engine bay are not a forgiving combination. The damage was deep, structural, and expensive in ways most mechanics wouldn't even attempt to price. Mat Armstrong bought it anyway. At the time, Armstrong had around 1.2 million YouTube subscribers, built entirely on rebuilding cars most people would have scrapped. He wasn't a factory-trained technician. No dealership background, no manufacturer certification. Just a self-taught mechanic working out of a UK shed who had developed a reputation for taking on vehicles others had given up on. The Chiron was a different level entirely. The purchase price has never been officially confirmed, but figures close to £500,000 have been widely reported. Significant money, but still a fraction of the car's original £2.5 million price tag. He documented everything. Every bolt removed, every corroded connector photographed, every damaged component laid out and examined on camera. That transparency was deliberate. It was also, as it turned out, a record of everything Bugatti's legal team would later scrutinize. What made this purchase complicated wasn't just the money or the damage. It was the paperwork. Salvage titles on hypercars exist in a legal gray zone in the UK. The title itself is transferable. Armstrong owned the car legally. But manufacturers like Bugatti often embed clauses deep in original sale agreements that restrict what can be done with a vehicle if it leaves the approved ownership chain. Those clauses don't always die with the first sale. According to UK salvage title registration records, the Chiron still carried its original VIN, a number traceable directly to Bugatti's Molsheim factory in France. That VIN is not just a serial number. It is, in Bugatti's view, an extension of the brand itself. Bugatti's legal team was paying attention from early on. Exactly when they decided to act, and what triggered that decision, would only become clear much later. Bugatti says no one should have touched this car. Armstrong says he had every right. Drop your take below. Who do you think is in the right before the end of this video? 14 months. That's how long it took to bring a written-off £2.5 million hypercar back from what the industry had already buried. Armstrong didn't rush it. The rebuild was methodical, documented in real time, and released in episodes that grew in viewership with every upload. By the time the series was complete, the videos had collectively surpassed 40 million views. That number isn't just impressive for a mechanical project. It rivals the reach of major television documentaries. People who had never watched a car rebuild in their lives were following this one. The scale of the work was not small. The Chiron's W16 engine, quad-turbocharged, producing over 1,479 horsepower, had suffered water ingestion damage that most professional engineers publicly described as irreversible. That word came up repeatedly in automotive forums and comment sections from people with genuine credentials. Irreversible. Armstrong's team disagreed, and they set out to prove it on camera. Parts were the first major obstacle. Bugatti does not sell components to unauthorized workshops. That's not an informal policy. It's a deliberate wall built to protect both quality control and the exclusivity of the brand. Armstrong had to source replacements across 3 continents. Some specialized carbon fiber body panels, sourced through secondary suppliers rather than Bugatti directly, reportedly cost upwards of £18,000 each. A single panel. The cumulative parts bill across the entire rebuild has never been fully disclosed, but based on individual component costs visible throughout the series, industry observers estimated the total ran well into 6 figures. The structural integrity question never fully went away. Automotive engineering forums debated whether a car built to Bugatti's tolerances that require factory-specific tooling, calibration equipment, and proprietary software, could realistically be restored to a safe operational standard without any of those resources. Armstrong consistently maintained that the car met UK road standards. He referenced independent inspections. The debate, however, continued. What the audience saw was a resurrection. What was happening off camera was something else entirely. Behind the scenes, legal conversations had already begun. Cease and desist communications were reportedly in motion, while the rebuild videos were still being uploaded, while viewers were commenting, sharing, and celebrating each milestone. Armstrong did not make those conversations public at the time. He kept filming, kept uploading, kept the momentum going. The full weight of what Bugatti was preparing wouldn't surface for months. But it was already moving. Bugatti Automobiles SES didn't go public first. That's important. Their opening move was quiet, deliberate, measured, and entirely private. In early 2024, sources close to the situation confirmed that Bugatti issued an initial legal notice directly to Armstrong. No press release, no public filing, no announcement of any kind. Just a document, sent through legal channels, that Armstrong received and did not immediately share with his audience. The notice reportedly identified 3 specific concerns. First, unauthorized use of the Bugatti trademark in monetized content. Armstrong's videos featured the Bugatti name, the Bugatti badge, and the Bugatti vehicle prominently across a series, generating significant ad revenue. In trademark law, that distinction matters enormously. Second, safety liability. If the rebuilt Chiron were to operate on public roads and something went wrong, Bugatti's legal team argued the company could face reputational and legal exposure tied to a vehicle bearing its name and VIN. Third, intellectual property. The rebuild videos, in showing detailed engineering work on proprietary components, allegedly revealed specifications Bugatti considers protected information. Each concern on its own was debatable. Together, they formed a serious legal position. What gave that position real weight was the structure behind it. Bugatti Automobiles SES is not a small independent manufacturer operating on limited resources. Following a 2021 restructuring, the brand is majority controlled by Porsche AG and Rimac. That ownership structure means access to legal teams, financial staying power, and institutional experience in intellectual property disputes that most individuals and most small channels cannot match. Armstrong acknowledged publicly that communications were ongoing. Beyond that, he said almost nothing for approximately 6 weeks. No details, no documents shared, no indication of what had been sent or what was being demanded. That silence was its own kind of content. In those 6 weeks, over 2 million additional views came to his channel. Curiosity, it turns out, is a powerful algorithm. But what Bugatti sent next was not a quiet letter. Bugatti's next move was not a quiet letter, and what was inside it affected hundreds of thousands in revenue. Subscribe so nothing gets missed when this series continues. When Armstrong finally shared the document, the reaction was immediate. In mid-2024, he brought the formal legal demand from Bugatti's representatives directly to his audience. Portions of it were read on camera, not summarized, not paraphrased, but shown. It was a calculated move. Transparency had built his channel. Transparency would be his defense. What the document contained was not a suggestion. It was a set of specific, non-negotiable instructions delivered through legal representatives of one of the most resource-backed automotive brands in the world. 3 demands stood at the center of it. The rebuilt Chiron must not be registered for road use. It must not appear in any further commercial content without a formal licensing agreement in place with Bugatti. And every existing monetized video in the series featuring Bugatti branding, the badge, the name, the vehicle itself, must be either edited to remove that branding or taken down entirely. That third demand had a number attached to it. Based on the series' view counts, CPM rates, and sponsorship integrations across the rebuild videos, the projected ad revenue affected by those removals was estimated at over £300,000. Not future earnings, existing revenue already generated or contractually expected. Armstrong's channel had been built video by video over years. Bugatti's legal team was, in effect, asking for a significant portion of that work to be dismantled. Automotive legal analyst firm Vehicle IP Watch described it publicly as one of the most aggressive manufacturer responses to a private rebuild project ever documented in an open forum. That assessment carried weight. These situations happen. Manufacturers send letters, workshops comply quietly, and nothing reaches the public. The fact that this one did was already unusual. The scale of what was being demanded made it historic. Bugatti's legal argument rested on a specific foundation, a 2017 European court precedent involving Ferrari and an unauthorized replica builder. That ruling had expanded trademark protections beyond simple logo use extending them to cover what the court called confusing proximity to original vehicle identity. In plain terms, if something looks like a Ferrari, sounds like a Ferrari, and is presented as a Ferrari, Ferrari's trademark interests apply regardless of whether the original badge is present. Bugatti's team argued the same logic applied here. A rebuilt Chiron, carrying its original VIN, presented in commercial content as a functioning Chiron, fell within that expanded definition. Armstrong's legal team pushed back directly. The Ferrari precedent, they argued, was built around replica vehicles, cars designed to imitate. This was not a replica. It was the original vehicle with its original identification number, legally purchased through proper salvage channels. The precedent, in their view, did not apply. Neither side moved quickly toward resolution. The car sat unregistered for 47 days while negotiations continued behind closed doors. Every day it sat was a day Armstrong couldn't drive it, film it commercially, or fully claim what he had spent 14 months rebuilding. The legal question at the center of all this sounds simple. It isn't. In 2024, motoring outlet Evo magazine consulted 3 independent UK automotive solicitors and asked them directly, who is right? The answers did not align. 2 of the 3 sided with Armstrong. Once a vehicle is legally purchased, they argued, the owner holds the right to modify, rebuild, and document that process. The salvage title was valid. The VIN was original. No replica, no fraud, no misrepresentation. The 3rd solicitor saw it differently, flagging genuine liability exposure specifically around the trademark monetization argument. Filming a Bugatti, naming it repeatedly, building a commercial content series around it, and generating over £300,000 in revenue while doing so, that, in their assessment, entered territory trademark law was designed to govern. 3 experts. 3 different readings of the same situation. The core tension isn't new, but it has never been tested this publicly. Property rights and intellectual property rights operate on separate tracks. When someone buys a car, they own the physical object. They do not purchase the trademark, the engineering specifications, or the brand identity attached to it. Those remain with the manufacturer, permanently, regardless of how many times the vehicle changes hands. Most people will never own a Bugatti. But this fight isn't really about one car. It's about whether manufacturers can reach into your garage and tell you what you're allowed to do with something you legally own. Most people have felt that kind of control somewhere in their life. Bugatti has a documented history of drawing these lines aggressively. In 2019, the company successfully blocked a Dutch restoration workshop from advertising Chiron servicing using Bugatti's name, even though the workshop was working on genuine, original Bugatti vehicles. Not replicas, not imitations. Real cars, real owners, real servicing work. Bugatti still won. That precedent makes Armstrong's situation more complicated than it first appears. And the implications reach far beyond one rebuilt hypercar. If a manufacturer can restrict how a legally purchased, VIN-verified vehicle is presented in public content, that logic doesn't stop at Bugatti. It extends into every independent workshop, every enthusiast garage, every YouTube channel built around cars that someone else originally designed and badged. But what Armstrong did next surprised almost everyone. There was no courtroom, no public verdict, no moment where one side stood up and declared victory. By late 2024, Armstrong and Bugatti had reached a resolution, the terms of which have never been made public. No court filing was registered. No wrongdoing was admitted by either party. The details of what was agreed, what was conceded, and what was exchanged remain sealed behind the kind of legal language specifically designed to ensure they stay that way. What is known is what didn't happen. The rebuilt Chiron was not destroyed. It was not seized. The content series was not wiped from the internet entirely. Select videos remained online. Armstrong returned to filming. The channel kept going. According to a report by automotive news outlet Autocar UK, Bugatti issued a single public statement. One line, confirming the matter was resolved to both parties' satisfaction. Nothing more. The car's current road registration status has never been officially confirmed. Whether it has been driven publicly since the resolution remains unclear. What that quiet ending actually revealed was louder than anything either side said during the dispute. This was not a story about a reckless mechanic or an overreaching corporation. It was a story about a legal system built for a different era, one where a man rebuilding a salvage hypercar did so in a private garage, with no camera, no audience, and no public record of the process. That world allowed manufacturers to operate with frameworks that were never stress-tested by transparency. That world is gone. Bugatti designs engines that produce 1,479 horsepower. They build fewer than 100 cars a year. Their engineering is, by almost any measure, extraordinary. But their legal framework was constructed for a time before 40 million people could watch a written-off Chiron come back to life in real time. They were caught unprepared, not by a corporation, not by a rival, but by a self-taught mechanic with a camera, a shed, and 14 months of patience. The system didn't lose, but it didn't win cleanly either. And that ambiguity is exactly what makes what's coming next worth watching. Bugatti isn't the only manufacturer watching channels like this. 3 other cases are already building, and at least one involves a brand that has never lost a lawsuit like this. That story is next.